Well, let's get back to it.
Oh, Doctor, I've lost my car keys. Please help me. Doctor, I can't find my other sock. Those people, clogging up A&E. Text and messages from last night. This one says, "Hi, Nick." Alexander texts, "Hi, Nick. I've recently acquired a taste for quality wine. This news about cutting back on wine is worrying. Looks like I will have to go cold turkey this Christmas." Will you stop with the jokes? This shows like something you shook out of a cracker. Stella texts, "Got a massive pothole at the end of my road." A pothole?
Want to score some pot?
Hole. Called the council who haven't responded, so I called the police who are looking into it. Oh my God. I think that's so bad that I actually read that one out last night. What's that doing there? That shouldn't have gone up on my, what do you call this? What do you call this thing here?
Google Doc?
My Google Docs is the right answer. You're infesting my Google Docs with this nonsense. We're only dealing with the issues on this show. Brian emails, "Hi Nick, my fixed energy tariff is ending and they're going to raise my payments by 286%. 286%?
What?
They say they're doing their best. I need medication," says Brian. I recommend the green pills. They always work for me. Groovy. Chris says, "Hi Nick, like you, I've never ever had time off." These sound familiar to me. I'm getting like deja vu. Uh-oh. Stopped myself just in time. Almost said a dreadful foreign word.
Disgusting.
Chris texts, "Like you, I've never had time off work, and yet that January you mentioned you were poorly. I was knocked off my feet for 5 days. Unheard of, no idea what it was, but then COVID started being mentioned in the media. Very suspicious." And that's in relation to a podcast that I do called The Nick Abbot Habit. Have I mentioned that at length?
Yes.
It's old shows clipped up, and at the moment I'm trawling through January 2020. And word was coming in about this strange thing that was happening in China. And they were building a hospital in like 3 hours flat, and freaking out they were. And we were all sitting here thinking, well, it's got nothing to do with us. How bizarre it is to hear how we were treating all of that. Jokingly we were. What's that got to do with us, we thought. Anyway, that's a podcast called... what? It's a podcast called The Nick Abbot Habit. Get it on... have you seen the internet? Oh, there's stuff on there. Ian tweets, "I bet anyone Trump will be back in power in America. The next election's 100% guaranteed." Well, if it's 100% guaranteed, then why would anybody bet against you, Ian? You Aegis. I don't like those odds. Or just the very idea. But I bet that he will too. Yeah, I bet that he will. And then he'll be in power forever. That practice coup that they had a little while ago, on the 6th of January, back in 2020, yeah. That was just a run-up. The main event is coming soon. And then he'll be saying...
I'm president! Can you believe it?
Forever. I don't think he's ever going to die. He's like one of these people that, the things that fell ordinary human beings just bounce off him. Like Keith Richards. Keith Richards is never going to die. Never, ever, ever going to die.
Rock and roll!
And Ian tweets, "It's not a little camera that sees a car and then changes. Nothing to do with magnets. Filter lights, what road diggers put there ain't law to stop. It's a recommendation." That makes as much sense as anything else that you will hear on this programme tonight. Shall I read it again?
No.
Forget it. People will get cinema tickets and shopping... What does this caller want, by the way? Oh, all right then. Given that he's speaking to us from Spain. James, in Galicia. Yes, James.
Hi, Nick. How are you doing tonight?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Anyway, I just wanted to say, here in Spain, on the 19th of this month, there were
October.
no confirmed cases.
Yes.
And the 7-day average of cases was 1,438.
Wow.
And on the same day in the UK, there were 48,545 new confirmed cases.
Yes.
And the 7-day average was 46,317 new cases.
Right, which sounds like we win.
So why hasn't the government brought in any new restrictions? I don't quite understand.
Well, let's think about that for a second. I wonder why the government hasn't done that.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a clown show. Does that answer your question? Hey, by the way, James, are there any empty shelves in supermarkets over there?
No, they've got lots of figs and dates, though.
Figs and dates. My favourite. Are there people beating each other up at the pumps, trying to get petrol to squirt up their car?
No, not yet.
Right. Are there, I don't know, what else is ailing us? Is the price of everything going through the roof?
No, the price isn't bad.
And what's the weather like there at the moment, James?
Well, today it hasn't been particularly good. But for the last week or so, we've been having about 34 degrees.
Okay, thank you, but we don't wish to know that. You believe that? I hopefully it's in Fahrenheit, but I suspect that it isn't. 34 degrees. I know somebody who's in Spain at the moment, and they're having an excellent time. It's T-shirt weather over there. And they got food, and they got petrol, and the price of everything isn't skyrocketing. Oh, well, never mind. We're stuck here. We're not allowed to leave. If you try to push off the coast of this country in a dinghy, Prissy Patel will push you back in. Anyway, thanks a lot, James. Don't you ever call this show again. People will get cinema tickets and shopping vouchers as rewards for losing weight under new government plans to tackle obesity in Britain, which sounds like rewarding fatness to me. The scheme called Fit Miles will see Brits wear Fitbit-style devices to monitor their exercise levels. It will encourage them to eat healthier, reduce their portion sizes and increase their daily step count, which is great. You know what else can also monitor your exercise levels, encourage you to eat healthier, reduce your portion sizes and increase your daily step count? Your brain. Just do it. I've pre-tackled obesity by not getting fat in the first place. Where's my cinema tickets and shopping vouchers? In return for improving their lifestyle, people will collect points. And you know what points make? Vouchers.
What?
And you know what you can do with vouchers? You can stick them. Now, they make prizes. But vouchers or discounts on items like, so if you are struggling with your weight, the government will give you vouchers. And you can use vouchers to buy things like ice cream sundaes, giant towers of chocolate-covered profiteroles, that sort of thing. Some of the items the government plans to offer include, but are not limited to, discounts on cinema or theme park tickets, shopping vouchers, vouchers for clothes and food, and gym passes. Huh. Well, what about the rest of us who have helped by exercising and not getting fat in the first place? Where's our prizes? Pilot version of the scheme will be launched in the yet-to-be-announced Borough of England in January for 6 months, before being rolled out to the rest of the nation. Rolled? What, like a giant ball? Offensive. There's another number 10 anti-obesity measure, the snack tax. Not a snack attack, that's different. The snack attack tax on things that have a lot of fat and sugar and salt, the things that make stuff taste nice. That's what that's for. Because apparently things tasting nice is against the law. Prissy Patel is going to be monitoring your eating habits, and the moment she shall I start that again?
No.
Prissy Patel. No! Yes, that's her. She is going to be monitoring your eating habits, and the moment she so much as sniffs a sausage, you've had it. But the Minister for Vaccines and Public Health, Maggie, said the government also wanted to reward good actions. It's not all about the punishment. Well, it's mostly about the punishment, but it's also a little bit of reward stuck in there. Obesity policies can't be just about sticks. We must also reward healthy behaviours, she said. But you know what? It occurs to me that that's not rewarding healthy behaviours. Because if you only get a voucher if you're fat, that rather suggests that people are going to want to get fat to get their vouchers. Oh, where's my free stuff? You know? It's not rewarding healthy behaviours. It's rewarding people who exhibit unhealthy behaviours to get fat in the first place. I mean, those of us who have been eating healthily get nothing.
Oh, fabulous.
This government's spending £3 million on the scheme and has awarded the contract to, I really don't know, is it Boris Johnson's wife's hairdresser? Is it Matt Hancock's dog walker? Or is it the chap who applies Jacob Smug's pallor?
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
And what colour is that, by the way? It's a sort of ghostly grey. Have you ever seen anybody who looks more like a ghoul in your life? He looks like those things that flew around and upset Harry Potter. You know, those things. What are they called? What are those things that used to fly around and upset Harry Potter?
Death Eaters?
The Death Eaters! Oh my God, he is a Death Eater. I bet he could suck the spirit right out of you. Don't look him directly in the eye. Almost 2/3 of adults in England are classed as overweight or obese, with obesity-related illnesses costing the NHS £6 billion a year. Obesity has also been linked with. This is the first time I've spoken today. My lips aren't really working as fast as my brain is instructing them to go. Obesity has also been linked with being more likely to become severely ill with COVID. The government data indicates 8% of critically ill COVID patients were morbidly obese compared to 3% of the general population. 8 is a bigger number than 3.
Correct.
Health Secretary Sajid Javid, Sajman Jav, claimed the government was committed to improving people's health. Yeah, right. It's the way he tells them. Or at least those members of the public that are still alive after this government's dismal failure during the pandemic. You know, those people's health. Still, it's not a small amount of money to be throwing at this. £3 million, or at least it wouldn't be a small amount of money if it was £3 million per person. But it's not much spread about the whole population. So it's just another press release, another string of numbers that they can try and bamboozle us with, and another one of their I'm gonnas. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Another announcement of millions of this and 23% more of that and record spending on the other. And God, you hear a minister being interviewed these days, it's just a string of spurious statistics. They've got numbers like a maths class. It's a scheme funded to the tune of £3 million. So let's do the maths, shall we? If 2/3 of us are overweight, that's about 30 million people. And 3 million goes into 30 million, not a lot. It's 10p each. Anyone want to forego that bag of cheese and onion for 10 pence?
No.
Didn't think so. Here's the thing, and I'm sorry if this sounds controversial, but take care of yourself. Stop eating rubbish if you are overweight. Stop pretending fat is fit. I mean, if you are overweight, you are in the most likely to die of COVID category. Actually, you're in the most likely to die of anything category. And COVID's been in the news quite a bit lately. You might have heard something about it. So if the thought of dying in the short term doesn't get to you, then getting a voucher to buy an apple probably won't either. But the best of luck with that, Bodge. How many vouchers has he racked up? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Yes, what I have here is a failure to communicate with my glamorous assistant. I'm just going to have to ask her about this text that she has cut and pasted for my attention. Do you actually want me to read that one from Simon?
No.
Did you read it before you put it up for me to read on the air?
I half read it.
You half? Well, see, it's the second half that's the problem.
It's the second half that's the problem.
The first half is perfectly fine. I'll read the first half and then I'll have to stop halfway through. Simon texts, last week you mentioned there was a lack of butchers and I'm not surprised. I went into my butcher's today and noticed that he had no staff. So I asked him where his assistant was and he told me that he had to sack him as he kept on putting his... And that's the maximum amount of that I can read. Are you insane? Something about a bacon slicer.
Disgusting.
Dan texts, I was going to buy an electric car, but my utilities bill has gone up 400%, so I'm sticking with diesel. Yes, well, yeah, there is that, isn't it? Isn't there? There is that, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't there? Yes, it's an issue. My fuel deliverer person went bankrupt. I don't really know who these people are. Who are these people behind all of these fuel companies? I mean, I suspect that some of them are just a bloke in his parents' spare bedroom. Some teenager with a laptop has set himself up as a fuel supplier, and dopes like me sign up and start pouring money all over him. And come to find out, he hasn't. All he has to call his own is a phone and a pencil. I mean, who are all these people? And now they're all freshly gone out of business. Shuvik texts. Now, have you read any of these before you put them up for me?
I have been.
You have? Okay. So all of these are fine. They have your seal of approval.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
No.
All right. I will tread tentatively on. Connie emails, Nick, when you mention Trump living forever, you make my American heart run cold with dread. We have more QAnons that are running from positions from PTA, Parent Teachers Association, to City Council to Senator. I know. Yeah, what's happening in America is alarming. It's like a tsunami of who are running for positions of office. The Republican Party have blazed a trail that the Conservative Party are following closely along behind. And the idea is to put people in positions of power in government departments that they are ideologically opposed to. To load cultural institutions with the people who have fealty to the dear leader. To try to crush any dissent and to put the screws on the legal profession by calling anyone that seeks to hold the government to account enemies of the people. What's happening in America is happening here. But nobody cares because Bodger will just come on stage and go, "Paw!" And people go, "Oh, he's doing his best." At least with Donald Trump, you can see the evil through concrete. Bodger just comes off like a cockadoodle, like a poodle doodle, whatever those things are called, cockapoo. So you just fit those syllables into something that makes sense. I think I probably got it right the first time. Let's have Pimlico. Hello, Alex.
Oh, hi, Nick. I would like to say, is this government has not any clue when it comes to obesity, because absolutely they are incompetent. Because if you recently walk in the high street, let's say Oxford Street or let's say Square, it's full of these American candy shops.
Yeah, what's that about? Suddenly, everywhere you look, there's this mega store that just sells one type of sweet.
Yeah, because what does it mean? It is healthy food?
No, it's sugar with chemicals in them.
is that it is completely industrialized sugar, is 100% unhealthy. But who gave him license for this, guys?
Well,
government.
But no, the government doesn't give them. Surely doesn't give them license. If you want to open a shop, you can open a shop as long as you're selling something that's legal.
But who imported this unhealthy food? That's what I'm saying. If it's unhealthy food promoting every street, I can see the families taking their kids to these shops, buying this absolutely sugary stuff, which is definitely going to be fattening people, obesity.
Yes.
But on the other hand, the government says, we have this voucher. It's all about headline. They have no any clue about, diet. It means too many industrialized, food on the supermarkets because the government giving license to selling this product, which is unhealthy. Until the government not tackling quality food, it doesn't matter what they're going to say. It's not going to work.
Well, see, I mean, I'm in two minds on this. First of all, I agree with everything you said. But second, I think that people have some sort of responsibility to take care of themselves, for crying out loud. Stop stuffing your face with rubbish.
Absolutely, because honestly, when I was at Leicester Square, and I can see it was not too many. Now it's too many these candy shops.
I can't believe that there's one. I mean, you go into these places, and apart from anything else, they're lit as bright as an operating theatre. I mean, you need to put sunglasses on just to walk inside, and all they've got on floor after floor. I mean, it's like Hamlet's used. Not remotely interested in anything I've got to say. Go ahead.
If one person say, "Do you have anything here? You sell it. Is healthy. Please."
Got any
show
vegetables?
Me.
Yeah, of course not. No.
No, they're nothing. Everything they sell is only directly affecting basically obesity because of sugar.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though, Alex. You don't have to go in.
It is true, but the people do go because they don't know is really going to be effect. I think because if people know why you have to buy something stuff.
No. To say that people don't know that eating a diet of chemicals and sugar it might be bad for you is just ridiculous. Of course they do. They just can't help themselves because I want to, like that. Here, Alex. Thanks for pointing that out to us. I appreciate it. Yeah, those stores are multiplying like they're having sex with each other.
Disgusting.
They're everywhere now. And they're not small shops. They're not like sweet shops, like, Her Majesty's sweet shops, like it used to be in the good old days, when bombs were falling out in the sky and we had to buy sweets with vouchers and everybody was starving to death and we had scurvy. You used to play and child's play was chucking bricks at each other that you found on a building site. No, not like that. These are giant emporiums, like Hamleys. It's like floor after floor after floor of the same sweet. Why would anybody buy that? How is it a business that is actually successful? Because they're in locations that the rent must be through the roof. And you see people walking around with those shopping bags of the stuff that they bought in there. Why? I just don't understand. I am genuinely perplexed at this new trend in retail. I don't get it. I'll just add it to the list of things I don't get. Like Adele, for instance. I don't get Adele. 0345 6060 973. I mean, every song's the blooming same. She starts out a bit quiet, and then about halfway through, for no apparent reason whatsoever, she starts yelling at us. 0345 6060 973. It's 10:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Zora Solomon.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
Yes, that nice lady is right. What we're dealing with here is a big sack of monkey nuts. Shuvik texts, the Chancellor should prioritise the NHS, for example, hiring more junior doctors and GPs. Cutting doctors' hours should be a priority. The manager of England Women has clearly set a good example. I don't know what that story is. Andy texts, I can't know everything, Shuvik. Or anything, as a matter of fact. Andy texts, hi Nick, if you earn your vouchers in the right order, you get a prize.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points for getting it in order. Steve says, Nick, regarding the government announcement rewarding weight loss, I understand that if you eat fried chicken, kebabs, fish and chips and burgers in order, you get extra points. Either it's the same person who just wants to be absolutely certain that I play this, or it's individual people who are as with one thought.
And it was 30 or 35 questions. The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's woman, man, camera, TV. Okay, that's very good. If you get it in order, you get extra points. Okay, now he's asking you other questions, and then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go, woman, man, person, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
It was easy for him because he's a smart person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Very, very smart person that you're married to there, Melania.
I don't care.
She's not that bothered. Separate wings of different mansions. They've never seen each other. Let's have a call in Milton Keynes. Daniel.
Yes, Nick, how are we doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. I just wanted to call in just to challenge your view on this whole obesity subject. The way that I see a lot of the problems that sort of revolve around obesity is that it is a form of addiction.
Yes.
And the way that I've heard yourself sort of speaking about it in almost a derogatory way, I just wanted to challenge your view and see if you felt like this in regards to other addictions such as alcoholism or drug addiction.
Yeah, just give it up.
Just give it up.
Yep. It can be done.
So you don't believe in the sort of mental health surrounding any sort of...
Do I believe it's
addiction?
hard? Yes.
But you just think it's as simple as just giving it up?
Well, I can't tell you the amount of stories I've read of people that smoke 40 fags a day for 20 years, and they just decided to stop doing it. It was probably difficult. Probably difficult. It was probably difficult initially, but you just stop doing it. How to stop smoking cigarettes? Stop putting cigarettes in your mouth and lighting them.
It's a very sort of it's a very different way of viewing things. Things nowadays, as a society, we view things in a sort of way of acceptance and trying to help people, and that seems to work rather than the old school.
Well,
call it way of looking at.
Are you telling me are you telling me that it doesn't
useful.
work? Stopping smoking. If you just stop putting cigarettes in your mouth and lighting them, that doesn't work.
Is the view that people have on people that smoke, or people that eat too much, or people that take drugs.
Yeah.
The view of saying if you just stop, that'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's come out. That's not the same anymore. People don't think like that anymore.
Yes, they do.
The people that do think like that, they're not very intelligent when it comes towards these sorts. I mean, yourself, Nick, have you ever been addicted to drugs or alcohol?
No, Daniel. What you're saying is that if you find yourself addicted to something, then it automatically is a mental health problem. But I'm saying that that's not the case. You just either eat too much or you drink too. Well, that's what it appears to be what you're saying. That if you don't agree with that assertion, then you are wrong, is what you're saying.
But sometimes that mental health does have a massive impact.
Well, then that's a completely different issue. If you have mental health problems, then the mental health problems aren't making you smoke cigarettes, are they?
Exactly. But then the whole general view of stop eating in order to solve obesity, that's not correct.
Not stop eating.
It's not okay
Eat better.
Stop eating.
Eat better.
Of course, the stop eating. My way of saying that is stop eating terrible foods, or
right.
You wouldn't go up to a person clearly struggling with a heroin addiction and say, "Oh, just stop taking heroin." There's obviously a reason why that person's taking heroin.
No, not necessarily. Well, the reason might be that they like taking. The reason might be that they like taking heroin. It doesn't have to be a mental health issue. Keith Richards used to take heroin, and he stopped.
But what if there is a mental health addiction?
Well, then that's something completely different. That's like saying, well, what if it's what if they've also got cancer? Why aren't you treating the cancer? It's because it's completely different. What if they have a bad haircut? It's got nothing to do with it.
But then your view is just sort of generalising it, and say what I'm trying to put across to you, Nick, is the fact that there are other issues which cause these things, these addictions.
They may do, but you're saying that they always do, which I would say is not true. No,
I agree. It's not always, but right. However, I'd say the majority of times with addiction,
the majority,
there is an embedded issue.
Says who?
Sorry, who?
Says who? You would say that. Who are you? Are you an expert? Have you done a survey?
Well, I haven't done a survey.
Right, so you don't know. You're just making it up.
A lot of people are.
If somebody it takes a lot of cocaine, for instance, it does not imply that they have a mental health issue. It just implies that they like taking a lot of cocaine. And cocaine is the kind of thing that you get addicted to. And the way to stop taking cocaine is to stop taking cocaine. Not to say that the reason you do it is because you must have a mental health issue. Same as eating cake all the time. If you do have a mental health issue, then that is separate and should be treated differently.
Yes, of course. And the mental health issue is addiction. Enjoying something and indulging in that enjoyment, is different to having an addiction.
No, yeah, of course it is. But having an addiction is not an indicator of a mental health issue.
Of course it is.
Of course it isn't.
If you're addicted to something, that's your brain. There's an addiction within your brain which says that you need to do this. Your body convinces you that you need something. That's to do with your mental health.
Right. Okay. Well, that's such a spurious link that you've just made there, Daniel. When somebody says you have a mental health problem, then they're suggesting that, we all know what that means. But you're suggesting that an addiction of any kind indicates that you have a mental health problem. I mean, that sort of stretches the definition of what is ordinarily considered to be the meaning of a mental health problem. That's a stretch too far, Daniel. But anyway, good effort. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Another satisfied customer. Toby tweets, just read that MPs are having trouble with their expenses and have asked the body that oversees them to trust us and accept claims more easily. Are they having trouble with cashing in their free stuff, like their ear pods? I didn't read that. That's two stories that people have thrown my way that I haven't read today. I'm very bad at my job.
Correct.
MPs are having trouble with their expenses. Are you just making that up, Toby? I don't think they're having any trouble at all. I think they're cashing in like bandits. Addicted to it, they are. John says, Nick, heard on a bus trip the other day going through Glasgow, elderly couple behind me. This isn't rain, Brian. It's more like wet cloud. I swear she said that, says John. I like that. Wet cloud. Like a mizzle. Well, it used to be that that rain was like a wet cloud. You'd get mizzle and you get a bit of showers and it'd be drizzly and it'd be all day long. It were grand when I were a lad. That's what rain used to be like. And nowadays, rain is like the heavens open. It's like the end of the world when it rains. And in about 10 seconds flat, you're up to your earlobes in floodwater. Not that it's got anything to do with global warming. Goodness me, no. Why would anybody think that? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
Mary emails, Hi Nick, I've lost 2.5 stone since last Christmas. Now that's an odd mix of imperial and metric. 2.5 stone, okay. How many ounces? Like 8? I've lost 2.5 stone since last Christmas. I'm now within the healthy range of BMI. How much money can I expect from the government? Because I want to stock up on Christmas snacks. Iris Ann says, Hi Nick, Ofgem gave licenses to these companies and we, the consumer, have to reach out to Ofgem to complain about them. I'm completely confused. Can you help, or is that a problem for me and Carol? Hey, what do you reckon, Carol?
No.
Not interested. Hey, I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin, which is called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol?
Yeah.
In which Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while maintaining a straight face, and failing on both counts.
Oh, right, yeah.
If you want us to have a bash at your issue, then send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. NICKANDCAROL @global.com, and prepare for total satisfaction.
Oh, right, yeah.
We're taping tomorrow, so if you want us to include yours on the latest one, which is going to be out on Monday, then get it in now. nickandcarol@global.com. And there's a good 100 or so that we've done so far. I looked it up. I can't believe that we've done that many. I don't think we've missed a single week since we started. It's a right laugh. I probably laugh more in the hour that I talk to her every week than in any other hour of any given week. So if you wish to be amused, I think you'll find it right up your alley. Ask for it on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Yorkshire. Mike.
Hiya, Nick. Yeah, before you do your podcast with Carol, you might want to give her a quick hug because she got a bit of an unfair kicking on loose women yesterday.
Did she?
She did, yeah. It was not nice. She stuck up for herself, but she might need a hug before you do your podcast.
She'll get nothing from me.
It was not nice. But anyway, by the by.
Well, so who was mugging her?
The chief presenter.
Who's that?
I don't know her name, but she had a bit of a go about her putting her rug down, and she ended up getting told to shut up. And Carol stuck up for herself, but it was not fair at the end of the day.
Not fair, Carol.
What?
Unfair. She could always console herself with
booze.
Yeah, works for me.
Whatever. Yeah, but I didn't ring up about this, but your last caller was saying about obesity and mental health and things. Well, if you just refer this back to Boris Johnson, you could say, does this guy suffer from mental health, or is he a compulsive liar, or could he change his ways and decide not to lie? The first two, he wouldn't be fit to be Prime Minister. But the third one, he could change his ways and start to tell the truth. And it's the same argument. This guy was saying, well, no, if he's got mental health problems, well, you can't blame him for lying. Well, yes, you can. You make a decision, you decide not to lie anymore.
You know, it's a delicate territory to start stomping around, but there are people with mental health problems, and they should be given the greatest care and attention. But to just assert that I am acting in a way that is injurious to my health or other people, or in a boorish way, or in a way that the society disapproves of, but I can do it because I have a mental health problem, when no such thing is actually the case, is rather an abuse of that term, mental health.
Absolutely. Yeah, second little one, quick one. Trump. Do you know what he's called? Do you know what
in an unrelated topic, yeah, Donald Trump.
Oh, shut up! It is related to Boris. Do you know what he's called? His social media company in America.
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's calling it Truth. I know. What a sense of humour.
But what I actually rang up about was we've started to get the budget leaks. And the budget leaks are that they're going to spend loads of money in Manchester.
Yeah, sure.
And they're going to spend loads of money in the north of England.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to refurbish stations.
Yeah.
They haven't mentioned...
And everyone gets a free cushion, yeah.
And they haven't mentioned Hull and East Yorkshire, so we're getting nothing out of this. But there's no leaks about how they're going to pay for it. So all these leaks are good news for people, but there's no leaks about where the money's going to come from.
It's always the same with this regime. They announce an "I'm gonna," and the truth, when you start digging down, is they're relying on new technology to be invented at some point in the future, which will allow them to deliver all of the above. like the Northern Ireland border. Oh, well, don't worry about that. We'll invent something that can track the movement of goods back and forth. No such thing is currently available, but it might be in the future. Or what was the other one? I can't remember what the other one is. There's a really obvious one that's just escaped my mind.
A new border in the sea. No one's ever had a border in the sea before.
I mean, yeah, how can you paint a line on the sea? It can't be done, Bodge.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But, I mean, as I say, from Hull and East Yorkshire, we've got nothing out of these leaks, but we're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you'll still have to pay for it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And in a nutshell...
Stop whining.
Yeah. The other thing... all right, thanks a lot, Mike. The other thing I was desperately trying to get to the front of my mind was, of course, the eco thing. It means, we're going to be at the forefront of the eco revolution. We're going to go carbon neutral by whenever it is, and, by the time we get there, of course, he will have been out of power for a good long while, and will have been sitting up to his eyeballs in money, and we will have no recourse to punish him for not coming up with these promises. Because the idea is that all of this green revolution that he's talking about is dependent on us inventing things in the future that will capture the carbon out of the air and stop the icebergs melting and please polar bears and all of that stuff. It's all dependent on something being invented in the future that will magically make all of this stuff come true. Like he's waving his wand about like Harry Potter. Put the wand away, Bodge. Nobody wants to see that.
Disgusting.
Adrian emails. Leave your glamorous assistant alone. She's doing her best. Well, let me check on that. Are you, in fact, doing your best?
Always doing my best.
Always doing her best. Isn't that alarming? He says, by the way, do you get more fat vouchers the fatter you are? If you get fat enough, you could have the chance to go for the car. Huh. £3 million they were going to throw at the obesity issue, which amounts to 10 pence per obese person in this country. Don't spend it all in the same shop. Let's have, see if I can squeeze one in before the news. Middlesex, Danny rather.
Yes, good man.
Danny.
We got through.
We?
Okay. Do you know what happened to me today? This is happy news for all your viewers.
Yes.
Or radio, okay? Sheila Fogarty is my best DJ, okay?
DJ.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
No.
Well, but my name's Dan, okay? Listen, I got £300 today.
Wow. How did you do that?
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Now I've got your undivided attention, okay?
No, it's divided. But go ahead anyway. I'm listening with half of my brain.
I've got £300, okay?
Yeah, you said
I've gone out. I'm an old age pensioner.
How old are you? Approximately.
Okay. Yeah. Who's gonna? You can say, or can I?
89 years old. 102?
No, I've got £300.
£300. How did you get that?
The government sent me £300.
Wow.
Because I'm 80 years old.
80, like I said. You get 80. You get 300 quid for reaching 80 years old.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I am laughing. Why do they send you 300 quid for reaching 4 score years?
Old and I live alone. I've been divorced for 35 years, and but I play guitar. I used to teach judo. I was an All England swimming champion.
And you had to do all of that to get 300 quid. God, that's a bit specific, isn't it? I'm going to have to start now. That's a packed list there, Danny. Which government scheme is that? But thanks for passing the information on. So you got to play guitar. Ice skating, was that in there? I forget. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. I'm sure knitting. Did he say knitting? I think base jumping, perhaps. I can't remember. Please call back, Danny. I've lost that list. Where's my £300? I can skate. Well, I can learn anyway. How hard could it be? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
And remember, darling, I don't work before 10 in the morning and never after 4:30 in the afternoon.
Those are my strict rules. Sam texts, Nick, those desert shops. What's a desert shop? Dessert? You mean sweet shops? You can't possibly mean those giant sweet emporia that are cropping up all over the West End. Perhaps in a location near you. These blindingly bright, vast stores that only sell one thing. It's just mystifying. How are they surviving? Anyway, Sam says those shops, along with kebab shops and barbers and sunbed shops, are surely money laundering enterprises. There's that many of them, unless they're not, in which case you must correct me. I will correct you, Sam. The stores that we were talking about earlier on, with very famous American brand names of sugary, dyed products, I'm sure they're legal, decent, honest and true. Barber shops, on the other hand, guilty. There's just so many of them. I've lost count of the amount of ones that have sprung up around where I live, and every day there seems to be another one. And there's just, come to find out that almost all of them were owned by the same person. Very suspicious. Highly. And there's never anybody in there. Here's another suspicious part of the barber trade. They take cash. It's pretty much the only thing that only takes cash. Everywhere else they only take card. Or they look at you as though you're trying to trade chickens if you proffer money, actual real-life cash. You remember cash, don't you?
No.
Yeah, it used to be a thing. I forget to take money out of the house. I just don't do it anymore. What's the point of money anymore? You'll miss it when it's gone. But barbers, it's the other way around. You know, there's so many places now that don't take cash. They just automatically proffer you the thing that goes boop. Except for barbers. They don't take credit cards. They only take cash. Suspicious, yes?
Yes.
Definitely. Tell me that's not a money laundering enterprise. Must be. Because you could say, oh, well, we get 1,000 people in here for a haircut every day. That's why we're pulling in £1 million a year. And who's going to say otherwise? Unless, somebody from the taxman takes up residence in a flat on the opposite side of the street and spies on them 24 hours a day to see how many people actually go in there. I just find it highly suspicious that there's so many places to get your hair cut. I mean, I know everybody needs their haircut, but how many times a month do you need your haircut? Like once? At most. And there's never anyone in there. They're just sitting there, flicking through their phones, the hairstyle person. And you can show up any time of the day or night. No problem at all, as long as they're open. If they're closed, then you're fresh out of luck. Highly suspicious. Well spotted there, Sam. Lintex, I bought a frozen turkey for last Christmas. I bought a frozen turkey for last Christmas. It's still in my freezer with a use-by date of 2024. What? That can't be true. You can't keep frozen birds that long, surely. She says, so I'm okay for a couple more lockdown Christmases. Oh, God, we're going to get one of those, aren't we? Oh, I know it. Oh, we're pretending that we're through all this, but we ain't through. Not through it yet. It's still there. The invisible menace. A government scientific advisor says that he is, quotes, very fearful there will be another lockdown Christmas.
Oh, no.
Professor Peter Openshaw, a member of the New and Emerging Respiratory Virus Threats Advisory Group, or NERVTAG, and the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, or SAGE, and the subgroup of that, the COVID-19 Clinical Information Network, or COSIN. He said that there are far too many acronyms flying around and he doesn't know how anyone keeps track of them all. I mean, seriously, NERVTAG, SAGE and COSIN. I mean, they sound like organisations that Daniel Craig spends 2 hours shooting at in a James Bond film. NERVTAG allied with SMERSH and Spectre. A subgroup of Quantum, wholly owned by Willard White. No! So this Professor Peter Openshaw, a member of the New and Emerging Respiratory Virus Threats Advisory Group, NERVTAG, and the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, SAGE, and subgroup COVID-19 Clinical Information Network, COSIN, said, case numbers and death rates are currently unacceptable. Britain's daily COVID hospitalisations yesterday breached 1,000 for the first time in 6 weeks. But don't worry, because we have an expert running the country.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Meanwhile, trade union leaders warn Number 10 that it risks another winter of chaos if it doesn't immediately adopt its COVID Plan B, which is surprising because I didn't realise Number 10 had a Plan A. I mean, what is Plan A? Goof around and dive into the dressing-up box to see what silly costume the dear leader can try and distract us with today?
I can't comment on that.
That's a yes, then. A joint statement from the unions, including more acronyms like the TUC, USDOR, Unison, Unite, GMB and ASLEF, representing 3 million workers, demanded that the government bring in policies including, but not limited to, the return of home working and face mask wearing. The unions, which represent workers in retail and transport and healthcare, in which working from home is challenging, said that there are already hundreds of COVID outbreaks in workplaces. I bet there are. Bodger resisted calls from health leaders for tighter restrictions, despite the rising levels of infections, because doing nothing, pretending it isn't happening, and then panicking when it's too late, worked out so well last time. Oh, but lessons must be learned. Please. Health Secretary Sajid Javid, Super Sajman Jav, said new cases could reach 100,000 a day.
What?
But he probably didn't get the memo about not mentioning the C word, COVID. He was probably concentrating on adhering to the edict that ministers are not to mention the B word, Brexit. Downing Street insists there's still spare capacity in the NHS and that Plan B would only be activated if the NHS came under significant pressure. Asked whether they were under significant pressure, the NHS said, it's not like they don't learn anything from history. They don't learn anything from right now. Professor Openshaw, out of NERVTAG, SAGE and COSIN, said, I'm very fearful that we're going to have another lockdown Christmas if we don't act soon. He said, we know that with public health measures, the time to act is immediately. There's no point in delaying. If you delay, then you need to take even more stringent actions later. He says the immediacy of response is absolutely vital if you're going to get things under control. We need to get these measures in place now in order to get transmission rates down so that we can actually get together and see one another over Christmas on Jesus' birthday. And Bodger said...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
So that's all right then. Professor Openshaw, out of, NERVTAG and COSIN, he said it's unacceptable to be letting this run at the moment. He said, I think hospitals in many parts of the country are barely coping, actually. I think it's unacceptable to see the number of deaths that we've got at the moment. He said, at one stage last week, there were 180 deaths in a single day. He says, that's too many deaths. Yeah, that sounds like too many. Can you imagine any other way of dying that it would not even really make the news if there was 180 people died in one day, all at the same time? Like if planes were dropping out of the sky with people, a full payload on board, and with the death of everybody on it. You think that would make the news if it was happening every single day? Anyway, Professor Openshaw said, we seem to have got used to the idea of all of these deaths, that we are going to have many, many people dying of COVID, and I think that is just not the case. He said we need to slow down transmission, really redouble efforts to get everybody vaccinated and all the boosters out, and then we can open up again. But you can see what Bodger's plan is. I mean, just pretend it isn't happening and hope that his fans don't mind another mountain of dead people. I mean, it worked last time. People were burying their dead and saying, oh, he's doing his best. So why change a willing formula of not bothering what happens? And the government's making a political performance out of not wearing masks. I mean, you must have noticed that, right? They're doing that in Parliament. It's not a coincidence that none of the Tories are wearing masks in that crowded place. It's a plan. Like I said yesterday, to dissociate themselves from the virus in people's minds. You look at Prime Minister's questions and all the Tories are not wearing masks, and you forget about COVID. And then you look at the Labour benches and they're all wearing masks, and you think... And so you start associating COVID with Labour, not the Tories. And it also makes the Tories look tough and strong. That virus is going to bounce right off me. It's PR, it's performance is what's happening at the moment. And don't tell me it's not a plan, that the word hasn't gone round, because they wouldn't all be thinking as with one mind, would they? It's the plan to dissociate themselves from the virus in people's minds. And try as you might, even though you know that's what they're doing, it still goes in there, and you feel it unconsciously. You can't help yourself. And the Labour MPs with masks just reinforce the sense that it's not a Tory virus, not a Tory problem, nothing to do with them. It's Jeremy Corbyn's fault. No! Thanks a lot, Jezza. See what you've done? And when they're pinned down on talking about it, the actual government advice is stay vigilant. What does that mean? I mean, honestly, stay vigilant. I mean, be prepared to dodge out of the way if you see a virus coming at you. Is that what they mean? And on masks, we should use our best judgment. Based on what? I mean, it's so stupidly vague. Bodger's dog Dylan could have come up with it. And people like Smug and Bodger aren't actually stupid. They just perform stupid for the cameras because their fans lap it up as it upsets the other side. They know that being vigilant and using your best judgment are ridiculous things to advise in the face of something that's invisible and highly contagious. But they won't tell you to wear a mask in a crowded place for the same reasons they won't wear one in the crowded place of the House of Commons on TV. It's because they want to curry favour and retain their grip on power regardless. All other considerations are secondary. And if the advice is vague, well, they can just blame us for letting the disease spread because we weren't sufficiently vigilant. We are very bad people and it serves us right. And as Professor Openshaw, he was asked what he would say to people who have concerns about what they can do to stop the spread of the virus in the face of the government's dithering ineptitude. He said, I think take matters into your own hands. Don't wait for government policy. He said, I'm very, very reluctant now to go into crowded places because I know that roughly 1 in 60 people in a crowded space are going to have the virus. If you can, cycle to work, don't go on public transport, do everything possible in your control to try to reduce transmission. He said, the sooner we all act, the sooner we can get this transmission rate down. And the greater the prospect of having a Christmas with our families. You know, that's probably good advice. I mean, it is from NerveTag and SAGE and COSIN and Imperial College London, or ICL, and he's the lead study in Mechanisms of Severe Acute Influenza Consortium, or Mosaic. I mean, he's got just about as many acronyms as one person could legally be allowed to be appended to. He's an actual real-life expert. So naturally, no one is remotely interested in anything he's got to say. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
Okie dokie.
Let's have a call in. Who's been waiting the longest? Be totally fair about this. Regent's Park. Hello, Vance.
Hi, Nick. Enjoying your programme.
Thanks.
I'll start off with something trivial and then go on to the government.
Start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start.
You're right. Somebody was telling you the other day that it was beer was £6 a pint in the West End in Soho.
It can be.
Yeah, that's quite true. I was taken to a restaurant last week, and that's exactly what I was charged for my beer. My goddaughter...
Now, hang on a minute. Back up. If it was a restaurant, was it a pint or a small bottle?
It was a pint.
A pint?
Yes, it was a pint.
In a restaurant?
It's a new Malaysian restaurant in Old Compton Street.
Well, I'll go to the foot of our stairs. A pint?
Beer,
well, that sounds excellent. I'll have two.
Yep, why not? And you were talking about hairdressers just now.
Yeah.
My goddaughter, she's just moved into a flat in a little alley in Soho. It's not even a street. And right opposite her flat is a gentleman's barber. Do you know how much they charge for a haircut?
Well, now, are we talking about an ordinary gentleman's barber or a place where you get a European magazine while you're waiting and a coffee?
You don't get a coffee. You definitely don't get a coffee.
Right.
There might be a magazine, but it's not super posh, the place.
Okay, then I'm going to guess for an ordinary haircut, short back and sides, in Soho, in a non-posh barbers, not hairstylists.
Yeah,
we're not talking about
street,
right. We're not talking about people who
alleyway.
go in there for colour and curls and all of that celeb stuff.
Yep.
£25.
Not quite. A nice round 40 quid for a haircut. 40 quid for a haircut.
Wow.
It's on Greens Lane, just in Soho. 40 quid for a standard haircut.
I am stunned. Well, don't buy anything in Soho if you value money, I guess, is the answer to that.
Now to the big thing, the big topic. Like you, I've been wondering, how is it that Bodger and his cronies get away with this, Nick? I think it's a combination of three things, I think it's sheer incompetence, it's performance, using your word, and I completely agree with you, and gigantic egos. And when you put those in the mix, it explains so much.
I think you've missed one. You've missed several. I think the most important one that you missed is that their fans will support them whatever happens as long as it upsets the other side.
Exactly. Yes, you're absolutely right. But it's the incompetence as well. I mean, I quoted from Sonia Purnell's biography of Bodger, a couple of times. She describes how when he first got married, his first wedding, his bride was there, pristine white and everything. He turned up without anything suitable to wear. One of the wedding guests had to lend him trousers and cufflinks.
Oh, my God. Put it away, Bodger. Nobody wants to see that.
Disgusting. This guy just cannot, tie his own shoelaces up. And yet he's, our Prime Minister. Yeah. Don't people realise this, that, between his huge ego and his huge incompetence, there's nothing left.
It's an act that is paper thin, but has been working really well for him his entire life. I mean, it's a combination of the hair and the Latin and the Greek fairy tales. He likes to remind us all the time that he went to Eton over and over and over and over and over and over again. He just cannot stop reminding us, and that kind of all of that. Just he's the same act as when he was probably 10, and it's been working for him precisely as has that haircut. It's the same haircut his entire life. And that people still support it is just kind of bizarre to me. I mean, how much evidence do you need?
And he's got one big big chip on his shoulder, and this is very well known. He didn't get a first-class degree. He got a second, whereas David Cameron and all those people got firsts. And he still goes on and on about that in private, you know. He will not accept that it was his fault that he didn't get a first.
Well, there's that famous letter to his parents from one of his teachers. It crops up every now and again on Twitter. People keep posting it. You must have read it, right? And it's something of the order of he doesn't apply himself. He just doesn't follow any of the rules and thinks it's strange that anybody should ask him to. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, and furthermore, he thinks it's an affront that he shouldn't be head of the school.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. That characterises his whole performance as PM, doesn't it?
As a child, so as a grown-up. What were the vows like at that first wedding, by the way? Till death us do part or someone hotter comes along? Was that it? Thanks a lot, Vance. 0345 6060 973. Mikey emails, I found the solution to the wine shortage, whiskey. Cheers, says Mikey.
Booze.
That's a good idea, Mikey. I have a pint of whiskey and a whiskey chaser. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mark says, I have the answer to the winter energy crisis. Hot water bottles. Hot water bottles. They still make those. I got 2 from Argos, £9 each. They come with a nice fur cover and last about 4 hours. You can also cook with them. I warmed up a cheese and onion pasty on mine yesterday, says Mark. You can't cook with a hot water bottle. Warming is not cooking. Hot water bottles. Blimey, that's something that takes me back. Back to when I think it was 1974 or 6, one of those. I can't remember precisely which one it was. But the 3-day week, and the lights went out at 6. You knew that they were going to go out at 6 because they told you ahead of time, so you could run around getting torch batteries and candles and make sure the radio was had some juice in it. But of course, when the lights went out, so did the electricity, and so you'd pre-fill a hot water bottles. Excellent idea. We're not really going forwards. We're hurtling backwards in this country. Paul, Manchester.
Hello.
Yes, Paul.
Hello. How are you doing, Ian? Okay.
Who?
How are you doing?
Ian's not here. Can I put you on hold? Sorry. Call you back when Ian gets here. How does that sound?
Sorry. Do you know what it is? It's the reminiscence of the hot water bottles.
Scrambling your brain. I get it.
You know the plastic smell when you used to kind of warm them up.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I love the smell of plastic in the morning.
Oh yes. Oh, crikey. Now I'm going to talk about the barbers, if you don't mind.
Well, you've got a minute and a half. Can you squeeze it in?
Wait. Right. Now, a lot of it is paid cash because they charge. They're not employed, they're self-employed. So they actually have to rent a seat and actually bring all their kit in there.
Yeah.
And the actual barber, the actual owner, will charge them, say, £600 a week.
How much?
£600, honestly, £600 a week.
That's too much.
Oh, yeah, honestly. And then they have to make it all up through their... So that's why it's paid in cash.
But that doesn't mean that the two don't follow.
No, but that's what it is. If you want to have a seat there, you know, you don't actually get paid a salary. So you pay the actual owner,
right?
Rental,
right?
For that.
Yeah, and nobody pays tax. Great.
Well,
what a racket!
That's another thing. Yes. So, Nick, sorry.
So how much is a haircut round your way, Paul?
Round my way, it's about 25 quid.
How much?
25 quid.
In Manchester?
In Manchester. Now, I've got a bald head. Now, to get my head cut, it's 15 quid to get the head shaved.
Right, but you're bald, though.
Yeah, I've got to keep it trimmed, you know. there's a little sprouts coming out.
Oh, sprouts. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to keep those sprouts down. Yeah.
Keeping sprouts, yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for the good news there, Paul. £25. I pay. I used to pay a ridiculous amount. I used to get my hair cut in Soho at an establishment. It didn't look too much from the outside or the inside, for that matter. But I stopped going there when the price went up to £65. What? £65, and then you'd have to tip them on top. Oh my God! I thought this is ridiculous. And so, with much trepidation, I went into not a hairstylist, a barber. I just picked one at random near where I lived, and it was I think like 15 quid, something like that, which seems reasonable, for half an hour. And look at me. Look at me. Oh, well, never mind. 0345 6060 973. Look at the time. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Zora Solomon.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
This anonymous tweet says you can't stop eating, so it's a harder addiction. Because you can give up cigarettes, alcohol and drugs, you never have to go back. But you will always need food, so it's harder to kick a junk food diet. No, it isn't. It's easier. Just stop doing it. Oh, I can't. It's just so hot. I don't want to. Just stop doing it. I mean, if the possibility of imminent death doesn't change your approach to eating pizza. Pizza. Okay, I really like pizza. Let's pick something else. To change your idea to eating biscuits and cake, then you're just not dealing with reality. Here's a dose of reality. Obesity leads to 23 amputations every day in this country. Surgeons are carrying out 23 amputations every day due to the UK's obesity epidemic. 25,500 toes, feet and legs were removed from patients suffering from diabetes in England from 2013 to 2016. Experts say the vast majority of cases are preventable with a better diet and weight loss. So think about that. Because the prospect of death is very, very removed, and nobody really likes to contemplate death anyway, so we sort of close our minds to it. But you can think about having your leg taken off because you have you've been eating too many biscuits. Which would you prefer? Your leg or another biscuit? Streatham. Hello, Nigel.
Hi. A couple of things. I mean, Bojo, when he was 13, he was very, very bright. He was a king's scholar going into Eton. And if you look at you go on the internet, you can look at the papers they have to pass. They're incredibly difficult.
Yeah,
but he's one of these people who gave up at 13.
You don't become unbright.
No, okay. But he gave up. Not bright, but not... Anyway, I know what you mean. My main point... I think
he just coasts because he's learned...
He thinks everything's easy.
Everything is easy. That's what he has learned. He can do anything he likes and get away with it by making his hair all squiffy and going, paw! And people love it. It's just a paper-thin act that people warm to, mystifying.
Yeah. But if people say he isn't bright, he is very, very bright.
Yeah.
It's an act, as you say.
Same as me Smug. Also very bright, but just as this performance...
I'm not sure that he is, to be honest.
Well, yeah, thinking back to the reviews that he had of that book that he wrote about Victorians, you're probably right, yeah. He pretends to be bright.
My main point was actually going right back, addiction and mental health. You're absolutely right. Addiction does not mean you're mentally ill. I can know this, but my wife's a mental health social worker, so she goes out sectioning people. And it's very clear that if somebody has an addiction, and therefore displaying some symptoms because of that addiction, she cannot section them. They're not mentally ill.
Well, the one does not discount the other, surely. I mean, you can have an addiction and be mentally ill. You can have both things individually or together, but the one does not lead to the other necessarily.
There are cases where, because people smoke, whether that's weed or something, most people, it doesn't affect their mental health. Some people have a inclination.
Right. Well, now you're talking causation. Some people who smoke marijuana who might have been susceptible to whatever mental health problem might bring it on.
It brings it on.
Yeah, but for most people, for most of the hundreds of millions of people that smoke marijuana and have done, in history, it doesn't lead to a mental health problem. Exactly. It just leads to more snacking.
Yes, or like Keith Richards, as you said early on.
Yeah, exactly.
The obesity and vouchers and things, I was just thinking that park runs, that's an example that you should go out vouchers for people doing a park run every Saturday morning. Hundreds of people do it. Well, just in Wandsworth where I do one.
A park run, that never seemed... a park walk, yes. A run, not for me.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of people actually walk them anyway.
Yeah.
And you get quite... anyway, this is one idea.
Well, it's a lovely thing. Everybody should take a walk in a park once in a while, especially now the colours of the trees is turning red and yellow and pink and blue. Groovy. Not blue, maybe.
But the government, talking about vouchers and things, the government funding into sport is absolutely lamentable. I'm a member of Herne Hill Harriers as an athletics club, and we want to refurbish our track. There's no money for doing that kind of thing. And thousands of kids use it all the time. They're not going to be able to use it if it's not refurbished. You look at what happened at Crystal Palace athletics track. It's just lamentable.
Well, it seems to be the way of this government to say that they're going to do one thing while doing the opposite. Well, we're going to encourage people's health while disencouraging people to use facilities that are healthful.
Exactly. And facilities which are rotting away, won't invest in.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nigel. Cheer up, mate. It might never oh, no, that's right. It already has. 0345 6060 973. Plus, exercise is a tremendous thing, and it will probably lighten your mood. It'll make you lighter on your feet, but it won't probably cure your obesity, not on its own. You've got to change what you eat. That's the biggest thing, is the amount of calories you've taken in. And of course, there's the genetic factor. I mean, some people can eat, and they don't put on an ounce. And other people only have to sniff a croissant, and suddenly they can't get into their jeans anymore. Brian texts, "Hi Nick, love the show. I have to agree with Daniel." Who's Daniel? Who's Daniel?
Daniel was a call about obesity, saying it was addiction.
Oh, right. As a psychotherapist...
Warning!
A psychotherapist, more often than not, addictions are related to escaping a mental health problem. Well, Brian, if somebody has to come to you, a psychotherapist, then it is, you would have to admit, quite likely that they have a mental health problem. I don't think you're talking about the population in general, rather the people that come to see you. I mean, if you were a barber and they came to see you, it's quite likely that they have a hair problem. Anyway, I'll finish it. He says there is a difference between using something for pleasure and having a dependency or an involuntary compulsion to consume it. Pleasure and having a dependency or an involuntary... we programmed as humans to be rewarded with feel-good chemicals when we eat, and as it takes very little effort to do, the emotional mind will encourage us to do it if we're struggling. Yeah, but if you're sat there and your mental problem is that you're too fat, and that you hate yourself because you're too fat, then do something about that. Instead of wasting 10 years of your life going through endless boxes of tissues talking to a psychotherapist. take control. It's just eating, for crying out loud. Just swap a cake for an apple. It's not hard. Just do it. Yeah, but I don't want to. That's what we come up against. Jim says, Danny said that he had been divorced, was a judo instructor and was a swimmer. The government probably gave him £300 for getting it in order. Is that what he said? That he was he'd been divorced, was a judo instructor and a swimmer. He got it in order and he gets extra points.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Thanks, Donnie, we know that. Extra points for getting it in order. Benny tweets, whether to believe it or not, given the Mirror quotes UK weather forecast, alarming chart shows Atlantic jet stream hurtling towards Britain. Mirror Online. An Atlantic jet stream is hurtling towards Britain? What? I have not heard this. I only do the weather on Friday. I assume that the weather doesn't change for Saturday or indeed Sunday. And I read nothing about that yesterday. So it does not exist, Benny. Nothing to worry about. Get Michael Fish on the phone. He'll confirm it for us. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
I am not one of your fans!
Zach texts, I got my ear pierced last weekend and it only accepted cash. Well, the person that did it might have been a tattooed oik, but I think referring to them as it is offensive.
Be polite!
Dominic says, hi Nick, whenever we visit the West End, our 10-year-old is obsessed with the sweet shops. With one around every corner, we've started planning routes to avoid these sugar pushers. sugar pushers. Psst, want to score some sugar? That's good planning there, Dominique. Or you could just say no. Have you ever tried that?
No.
Didn't think so. But Mum... Just say no. And furthermore...
No.
And George tweets, sounds like a film that Boris Johnson watches in his plush new £2.6 million cinema. What does? What sounds like a film that Boris Johnson watches in his plush new £2.6 million cinema? I've got no idea. Well, presumably it was in reference to something that I said at some point in the last hour, 50 minutes. I mean, I can't remember everything I say, George. I'm not a mind reader. You have to explain yourself. Plus, if they say that it cost 2.6 million, then you can be absolutely guaranteed that it cost 5 million. I mean, look at HS2, for instance. You know, they sold it to us as an excellent way to get to Birmingham 10 minutes quicker than you ordinarily could. Because, you know, that's what everybody was yearning for. £37 billion they said it was going to cost, which seemed like a lot of money. Now they're saying it's going to be 100 billion. What? 100 billion pounds to get from London to Birmingham, or the other way around, 10 minutes more quickly than we can at the moment. 100 billion pounds. That is insane. And you'd have to think, who got the contract to build that railway for £100 billion? What was it? Boris Johnson's hairdresser? Somebody who had no previous experience of building a railway, but they started up a company 6 months ago, and they have £100 to their name. So the government thought, well, that's just the very person for us. Here's £100 billion. And they said, thank you. Appreciate it. £100 billion. And what? I mean, would anybody care to lay a bet that when they build it, on the assumption that it ever does get built, it won't work? £100 billion. Oh my God! You could get 2 apps for contact testing on your phone that don't work for that.
Contact tracing.
I mean, that really is that just makes you sit right down, doesn't it? Something like £40 billion, 45 billion pounds for a telephone app that doesn't work. Not million, billion. How? How? How is that possible? I hope that some legal beagles are burying into all of this, and the people will be held to account. But I doubt it. I mean, they may be burying into it, and they may be looking at it, but do we think that anybody's going to be held to account?
No.
Of course not. They'll glide off on a cloud of solid gold. £100 billion. And it isn't even north-south that needs fixing. It's east-west that needs fixing. It's Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, and perhaps York that needs speeding up. Not up and down. It's back and forth. Levelling up my eye. Let's have Anita in Tooting. Anita.
Hi, Nick.
Hi.
I wanted to talk about obesity, but first talk about anxiety and depression and how that can be correlated a little bit to obesity.
Oh my God, this sounds very, very serious, Anita.
No, I'll be short and brief. Some in areas I talk quick. So if someone had major depressive disorder,
yes,
you wouldn't go, oh, just cheer up, you misery, just cheer up. What you being so moany about?
Of course not.
You say, oh, you've got low levels of serotonin, go to the GP or go to a natural therapist and boost your serotonin.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Okay. If someone had anxiety disorder...
That may be one way of dealing with it, but I'm sure professionals might suggest another course of action. But anyway, go ahead.
Of course, talk therapy and CBT, and it's a multifunctional approach.
Is it?
If someone had major anxiety disorder, you wouldn't say, what are you worried about?
Of course
not. Oh, my God, just chill out. You'd say, you've got low levels of GABA aminobutyric acid.
Well, I wouldn't.
That perhaps could be boosted. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but
okay,
anyway.
Well, GABA is something that chills you out. We produce it naturally. It makes you chilled.
Yeah.
Okay?
Also, it was I'm sure it was in a song by the Ramones.
Rock and roll!
Wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Oh, I'm more into Kylie and Katy Perry and Britney.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Boring! Now, someone who is obese, appetite is controlled by two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. I know it's Friday night and everyone's drunk, but I'll just talk about leptin.
Yeah.
Leptin is the one that makes you feel full,
right?
And it's produced by the fat cells. So unfortunately, the more fat cells you have, the more likely you're going to have leptin resistance. Which
Anita,
means...
can I just shorten this? Just if you are overweight, stop eating so much.
But they don't feel full.
It doesn't matter.
They
know how much they're eating. Feeling full is neither here nor there. Knowing how much you are putting in your mouth is not a mystery because you are putting it in your mouth.
But we do have that regulation in our brain.
I am aware of that, but you also are aware of how much you are putting in your mouth. Your mouth's right by your eyes. You can see it.
Yeah, but in the same way that there is insulin resistance, which is a global epidemic, and people are having their legs chopped off,
yes.
And unless they get metformin or some kind of, intervention by a health practitioner, they're not going to not get their legs chopped off. It will just carry on.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I've read no end of reports about people who have gone on what does amount to a very strict diet, and they have reversed their condition.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But I'm just trying to put a little fluffy cloud around obese people where
Anita, what you're saying is it's difficult.
There'd be no obese people in the world if it was easy.
Right. But there would also be no healthy people in the world. There would be no bodybuilders, there would be no musicians, there would be no architects, there'd be... nothing is easy. Do you think that Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like that because it's easy?
Negative.
No. But I am trying to just say that there is a hormonal medical aspect.
Yeah, I understand that. I get that. What you're saying is it's difficult. Yeah. Okay, well, what isn't? Thanks, Anita. Something about Gabba Gabba Hey.
Rock and roll!
Pretty sure that was the Ramones. Zach texts. Oh, no, I read that. Dominique texts. Read that. George, I've read that one. Wow, I am way ahead of schedule. I'm doing very well this evening. Borderline good at my job. Simon says, I play Nick Abbott bingo when I watch a lot of old films, hoping to get some of your sound bites. I felt a little bit cheated this week because I watched Sunset Boulevard and I realised that 2 of your sound bites were in the same film. What? Not got all of them yet, but I'm getting there. Yeah, not got all of them, but I'm getting there. Just looking around to see what I can throw at him. How about this one?
Be polite.
You know where that's from? Scott says, with all this talk of Plan A, Plan B, etc. for COVID restrictions over Christmas, I'm surprised the Labour Party haven't suggested the Plan K. The K stands for Kia. Yeah, what was it he called himself the other day? The K-man? Something like that. Something toe-curlingly embarrassing. As though he needed something extra embarrassing to go with, the litany of embarrassment that surrounds him. What might be a good idea is you drop the sir. I think that would be a good start. Just drop the sir. People think you're posher than Bodger, which is, of course, ridiculous, but it doesn't stop them thinking it. Just because it's silly doesn't mean to say people won't believe it. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @lbc. Oh, great news, by the way. If you're leaving the country, then first of all,
bye bye.
Could you hear that?
Bye bye.
There you go. And the good news is you won't have to take an expensive COVID test. There is bad news, and I'll come to that in a minute.
Wait.
I can't wait another moment. Alice texts, Dear Nick, next scheme, Bodger's going to give us all microscopes so we can be vigilant. I mean, how asinine is that? We're dealing with an invisible menace that is highly contagious, and the government's suggestion is that we be vigilant. I mean, do they take us for idiots?
Yes.
With good reason. Be vigilant. I mean, for crying out loud, that is embarrassing. Use your best judgment. Has he met us? Best judgment? Christian tweets, Boris Johnson's dog is called Dylan, as in Bob Dylan. That's quite funny, says Christian. No, incorrect. Not D-Y-L-A-N. It's D-I-L-Y-N, I think. Better got that right. It's not Dylan, it's Dylan. What a stupid name for a dog. Dylan. It's apparently Welsh for follow. Follow. What kind of a name is that for a dog? Follow, that's an instruction, not a name. It's got an amorous problem. Apparently it tries to have sex with anything that stays still long enough. And so does the dog. Brighton. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick.
John.
Yeah, that £100 billion page, that's a bargain. That's £100 billion of levelling up.
Yes, no doubt. Yeah, sure.
And I think that Rishi Sunak, he announced some spending today. I think some billions for transport in the north, and
I'm going to do
that's levelling up as well.
I'm going to do that. Yeah, Fishy Sunak is chucking the money about. Sure he is.
Yeah. But I love the way they just count any spending now against their levelling up slogan.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just bought a sandwich today, says Boris Johnson. Levelling up. Yeah. £2.50. There you go.
Yeah. Now I wanted to check you're ready for the ULEZ zone, ultra low emission zone in London.
Well, there is one, of course, around the centre, but now they're going to expand it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you're in London somewhere, so I think you've got some classic cars, haven't you?
Well, I got
old bangers, or
it's not a classic car. Unfortunately, it doesn't count, and I suspect that it's because it's an old automatic. It's from 1998, I think. But it doesn't count as classic, because I think people that want classic cars, they want a manual, and mine's an automatic, because I cannot be doing with automatic gears. Why would anybody want that?
Yeah, but is it a runner though? Would it run in London? I don't. If you're in London, I think that would get hit with the charges.
Oh, it would.
ULEZ.
Yeah, it would cost me in one day more than the car's worth.
Yeah. Oh well. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, you have to see what happens anyway.
Yeah.
Does it drive anyway? Does it actually go?
Oh, it goes. Yeah. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah. All right.
Well, are you interested?
Oh, well, might be. I've got some classic cars. They don't go, but...
Well, this one goes. So make me an offer and it's yours.
Yeah. What is it? Do you know what is it?
Do I know what it is?
Yeah, what make and model? You're not going to...
It's a car, John. What more information do you need? Just send me the money. Stop dithering and just park the cash at my place. I'll deliver it toot sweet. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345. Appreciate the concern. Christian, no, I've got that. Jim emails. You got SAGE, Strategic Advisory Group of Experts. I like ours better. Australian Centre for Disease Control. ACDC. ACDC.
Rock and roll!
Australian Centre for Disease Control. Is it really called that? Well, why wouldn't it be? Says Jim. Francis tweets, £6 for a pint in the West End. In Dublin's Temple Bar, they might let you stand outside the pub and sniff the aroma of beer for £6.
Booze.
It can't possibly be more than £6 in Dublin. I mean, the absolute tippy-top most that I've ever been charged was in a hotel near here. And it was the bar that sort of overlooks a restaurant. Terrible place, really. I mean, well, I'll tell you how much it was, and I'll tell you what the ambiance was like. £7.50. £7.50 for a pint of beer. I have to say it was probably the best tasting beer I've ever had, but still, it was £7.50. But the problem with the place was that, and it's one of these places that usually has spaceships parked outside, you know, like luminous purple Lamborghinis, that kind of thing. There'll be like a whole row of them. One will be in will look like it's made of gold, and the next one will be like lime green, and then there'll be and they all make a racket like a volcano exploding. That's the kind of place it is. I haven't eaten in there because you know, if you've got to ask how much it is, you can't afford it. But I thought I'll go in there because he's a bloke off the telly, was the chef, and I'll just have a pint. How much could it be? Well, exactly. It was £15 for 2 pints. Good grief! But the music they were playing sounded so tinny. I mean, for a place that was, you know, charging stupidly high prices, it sounded like a student had put a radio on next door and had turned it up. Like some rubbish student's stereo. It was the weirdest thing. I mean, everything else, it looked like they spent millions of pounds. And the stereo coming in, I mean, it could have been somebody's car stereo from the outside, just bleeding through the walls. It was so bad. So I've not gone back, you know, for that reason, and also the price. I'm not crazy. Well, the price of everything is going up. As in complete opposition to what we were promised. In an update to the promise that me, Smug, made over and over again, we'll enjoy cheaper food outside the EU. Cheaper food, cheaper groceries. Everything was going to be cheaper, remember? Turns out he was completely incorrect in every respect. Smug said over and over again we'll enjoy cheaper food outside the EU. And the cost of everyday groceries, from apples to sausages to margarine, has surged in price.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
The Office for National Statistics, this is the government's own statistics, show the prices for some of the most basic goods have skyrocketed since we left the evil European socialist experiment. We are hungry and poor, but we are British and hungry and poor and all the happier for it. He just think that this is a game, doesn't he? Let's see how far we can push poor people before they react. And so far, there seems to be no limit. Apples and margarine up 20%. Does anybody still eat margarine? Pork sausages up 20% in 1 month. Pears up 16%. Mushrooms, spring onions, cabbage, salmon, soup, kiwi fruit, eggs, sausages. Did I mention sausages? Fizzy drinks and bottled water. All up 16%. But it's worse than that, because the average price of a pint in a pub across the country could soon pass £4.
What?
What? You can get a pint for £4? Where? Where outside of a student union can you get a pint for £4? And that does seem bizarre to me that it would even cost that much. Doesn't it? I mean, I know you get a template of how much things cost at an early age in life, which is why things always seem stupendously expensive to older people. Because you get set in stone about the thought about how much things are when you're relatively young. And you stick with that, and the prices surge past you, which is why when you go to spend buy a shirt or whatever it might be, you can't believe how much it is. Forgetting that the template you set was 30 years ago. Keep up, Grandad. So it's not just more expensive, but there's also less choice in the shops. Smug said it would be cheaper and there would be more choice. It's almost as though he doesn't know anything.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
Supermarkets are having to concentrate on moving fresh products rather than dry goods because they can't get the stuff to the shops. A lorry driver shortage. Exacerbated by Brexit. Pig farmers are culling livestock. Warning from food firms that these drastic measures will hit key ingredients. What, like pigs? Pigs, for instance. Do you like pork?
Yes.
Well, there'll be a precious little of it because they're having to kill all the pigs. I believe that pork comes mostly from pigs. Mostly. Meat industry leaders say a lack of skilled butchers means abattoirs are refusing to accept pigs for slaughter, leading to fewer pork products and a reduced choice because of Brexit. And train fares and telephone and internet bills and everything else you pay for also increasing, while Bodger Johnson's health and social care levy means that workers are going to have to pay an extra 1.25% in tax from next year. And that health and social care levy, by the way, isn't going into care until it's gone to plug the gap in the funding for the NHS. You know, because the bus that said we would be getting $350 million a week for the NHS if we left the EU, it was mendacious.
Liar!
Exactly. And so was everyone who sat on it. Of course, you won't get anybody to admit that they had any connection to that bus at all. Bus? Bus? What bus? I saw no bus. And it seems to me that when the care part of that equation does get addressed, it's just to stem people's self-payment for care at £86,000. So the only people that are going to benefit from that are those who have more than £86,000 to their name. And really, the only people who have significantly more than that are going to be the ones that will save by there being a cap. And who are those people? The well-off. And the better off you are, the more you will potentially make from this, from having a cap on care. So the poor, I think we've reached peak Tory. The poor will be paying extra as a proportion of their income in tax to pay for the care that is going to be mostly beneficial to those who are well off. Yeah, that's about peak Conservative, I think. I mean, the average value of someone's estate on death is about $150,000. That's for everything they own. Car, home, clothes, plates, forks, sofas, beds, everything. So say your care amounts to, and I'll make it a nice round number so it's easy for us to contemplate this. Say it's £1,083,000. Or if is it 86? 86. All right. So £1 million and 86,000. Your care is capped at 86,000. That's the most amount that you have to pay. So if your care amounts to 1,086,000, if you are rich, you will save £1 million. If you are poor, you won't save anything. That does certainly sound like Conservative Party policy. That's the sound of levelling up or trickling down. It's trickle-down economics. I believe that we've heard about that before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he was the one that was telling us about it. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
Don't touch me, or I'll kill you.
Francis tweets, £6 for a pint in the West End in Dublin's Temple Bar. No, I've read that. You can only sniff it for £6 in Dublin, apparently. Daphne says, you would be surprised what you can do with a hot water bottle. Now, do you mean surprised or shocked? Please, Daphne, do not send me a picture, I'm begging you. Francis tweets, I was so horrified by the £15 for my son's haircut, we bought a machine and, and cut it at home. Huh. I think you're storing up some problems that your son is going to be dealing with for a long time there, Francis. Don't cut your child's hair at home. Mind you, £15 for a small child's hair does seem a bit much. A machine? What kind of a machine? Susie tweets, hail the hot water bottle. It's a legend for chilly feet. Yeah, so's woolen socks. Tony tweets, Nick, short back and side haircut and Penzance in Cornwall, £7. There you are, you see. You can get your kid's head done for £7. All you got to do is get to Penzance in Cornwall and back. Which will cost you about, I don't know, what, 500? I've got no idea. It's probably something stupidly expensive to get the train to Cornwall. I mean, I know it takes forever. I mean, if you want to make something, you want to make a journey go more quickly, never mind about London to Birmingham. How about London to Penzance? There'd be significantly more people that would go to Cornwall on holiday if it was quicker to get to. Of course, the people in Cornwall are just aghast at the very idea. More tourists. Stella says, Nick, the NHS is getting worse. Yesterday I called my surgery. This sounds like a joke. Oh, God, here we go. Prepare yourself. I'm going to be furious if this is. Stella says, and I will be apologetic if it isn't. Stella says, Nick, the NHS is getting worse. Yesterday I called my surgery to be seen by a doctor as I thought I had an ear infection. No one was available and I was told to go to A&E. What is happening? That's the worst joke I've ever heard. Wasn't even funny. You want to get yourself some new material there, Stella. I thought I had an ear infection. No one was available and I was told to go to A&E. Huh. Well, who told you to go to A&E? Not a medical professional. Someone behind the counter. Yes, may I help you? Next. Go to A&E. Well, I mean, if it was really, really serious, I suppose. But it seems more like something you want to go to the chemists for. I mean, chemists can, suggest all sorts of things. But don't listen to me, Stella. I am not a medical professional.
I'm not a doctor.
Any more than I am. What is happening, says Stella. I don't know. Who was there at A&E with you? People who, oh, doctor, I've run out of milk. Please help me. You know, those people. Doctor, I forgot to record Crossroads. Oh, damn it. Crossroads isn't on anymore. Oh, well, never mind. Fred texts. Of course, that would have been a problem. If you forget to record Crossroads, the doctor probably would be able to help you with that. Fred says, could you get your leg taken off but keep your feet? You know, artificial leg and a real foot. I'll look into that, Fred. Leave it with me. That's an excellent idea. Why hasn't anybody thought of that before? Manchester, Alan.
Hello?
Yes, Alan.
Hi, Nick, all right?
Good, thanks.
I went to Blackpool recently on holiday, and I'm from Manchester, and they can't survive without tourists.
Blackpool?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they ain't got nothing but stuff for tourists. Unfortunately, tourists don't want to go there anymore.
No, but what I'm saying is that I went there and I was like Penzance, you know, Cornwall and stuff like that. I'm like, can you survive without us tourists? And in people in Blackpool, there was like, honestly,
right. No, probably not. They definitely do. Yeah, Blackpool. Were there like groups of blokes wandering around in nappies? And sucking on babies' dummers, because that's what I saw last time I was there. And it was the weirdest thing. They were just wandering around in babies' nappies with dummies and nothing else. And I don't know where they kept their keys or their money or anything like that, but they were just wandering around as though it was completely normal. Because I guess after you do it for an hour, then it just seems, you just feel like a bloke wandering around. You forget that you're in a baby's nappy. I mean, presumably it was, a stag do. That's what Blackpool is known for, stag do's, yeah.
That's right, yeah. But I shall tell you one place to go visit.
Mm.
It's the Bismarck Motel. It's a pub.
The where?
The Bismarck Motel.
Pistol Motel?
The Bismarck Motel.
Spell it.
Just outside Blackpool.
Spell it.
BISPHAM.
Right. Okay, I'll look it up. Leave it with me. What do they sell?
Booze.
I'll be there. See you at the door. Thanks a lot, Alan. Yeah, people in Blackpool, they probably aren't complaining about the too many tourists, because I would imagine that they ain't got none. You know, what with it being a bit parky up there and all. I mean, they've got a great big beach there, no doubt about that, but bloomin' freezing. Hat, coat, scarf and gloves. It's not exactly what we've become used to going on holiday. Everybody's queuing to get out of this country. They can't wait to get out. Yeah, you wait till you try and get back in. Hour after endless hour. I mean, the queues at Heathrow are already bad, and they're not even got a rush on. The rush will start when you come back, because I think it's half term like now, isn't it? You always notice that the massive difference in the number of phone calls you get at half term. It really is remarkable how much this country just clears out. What is it about this country that makes people want to leave as soon as possible? That's not very patriotic. Why can't you take a holiday in Blackpool, for crying out loud? Do your bit. Yeah, apart from the rain lashing at your face as you're trying to put up a deck chair, apart from that, why not choose Blackpool? It's bracing. This text says, I got my haircut in Bristol on Tuesday. It cost 13 quid cash, so I paid 15, including a tip. I think it's all right, but I'm blind, so who knows? But also, I can't see, so who cares? That's good thinking. Jimmy tweets, Nick, as we're going to run out of wine this Christmas, I've decided I'm going to have COVID for this Christmas, as it comes with Corona. That was weak, Jimmy. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm ashamed of yourself. Jim says, much mental health issues due neglect plus lack stimulation plus deprived reasonable human relations. Sure start livable wage, criticise fast food. Okay. Shall I read that again?
No.
No. I think not. We got it the first time. Cheers, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chris says, inflation-adjusted HS2 costs as much as the Apollo space program. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. Man on the Moon or Leeds 11 minutes quicker. The inflation-adjusted HS2 costs as much as the Apollo space program. I mean, would anybody be surprised if that was not true? Wait, did I get that wrong? Would anybody be surprised if it was true? There you are. That's better. Would anybody be unsurprised if it wasn't way too complicated? Declan says, Nick, where am I going wrong? I pay my barber £10 for a haircut, including tip. Well, it doesn't sound like you're going wrong at all. Where do you go, Declan? We're keen to find out. Don't leave us in anticipation. It's 12:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Zora Sullivan.
Hello, boys.
0345 6060 973. Lulu texts. Special K. That's right. That's what he called himself. Or he insisted that other people used to call him. Sir Keir. Special K. Yeah, that's a good name for him, yes?
No.
Roger texts, Nick, this is the last weekend you can drive in free before the ULEZ kicks in on Monday when a charge of £12.50 is enforced on older cars.
What?
No, I think you are misinformed there, Rog. Because there's already a ULEZ area, but it just is the centre of London. They're just making it bigger. That's all. That's all. It already costs £12.50 for is it £12.50 or is it more than that? Because I know that the congestion charge, which is now applies for 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, is applicable for driving into the centre of town. The congestion charge applies even when there is no congestion. Thanks a lot, Sadiq Khan. I'm amazed at how... Now, cabbies, prepare yourself. I'm going to say something controversial.
No, 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 no.
Yes. I'm amazed at how little traffic there is on London's roads. And that small explosion that you heard were cabbies' brains bursting out of their skulls. Furious they are, just at the very idea that somebody would say that out loud. No, you go to the City of London, and like wandering around London as I was this week, it's so remarkable how little traffic there is compared to maybe 10 years ago, when all of the roads that are now empty were absolutely chock-a-block. Where have they all gone? I don't, and it's not just COVID, because it predates COVID. I mean, there's way more cyclists than there used to be, but the amount of traffic that's in London, at least on the roads that I was around, you know, in the city and around the West End, places like that, just absolutely chocker. Maybe people are going around the outside, you know, around the outside of this ULEZ zone in order to avoid paying the bill. Maybe the traffic has increased dramatically outside the zone. I don't know. But you won't be able to do that as of Monday. Paul says, did you hear that we're dumping sewage into the rivers and sea because we have a lack of purifying chemicals that are sourced from the EU? How long before we can't purify drinking water? That really does give you an indication of where this government is as far as its eco-credentials are concerned, because it just voted against the very idea of pumping raw sewage into rivers and the sea. You know, because that's what people are really, really yearning for. More raw sewage in their lives. Don't listen to what they say. Look at what they do. And as for purifying drinking water, don't worry about a thing. If it's good enough for a dog, then it's good enough for me. I'll be lapping it right out of the toilet bowl. Dave says, greetings from San Francisco. Thanks for sending us Glasgow's weather. Over 5 inches of rain in the next 24 hours will end our 2021 wildfire season. Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Gosh, that is a lot. 5 inches of rain in 24 hours. Blimey. San Francisco is going to get washed into the bay. Jeremy emails, I thought the be polite sound effect was the Donald rebuking the White House press in one of those famous tete-a-tete confrontations with the media. No, what, this?
Be polite!
No, that's not Donald Trump. That's somebody entirely more scary than him. Carrie says, we don't need to be vigilant, we need to be alert. Britain needs alerts. Oh, for crying out loud. That's the kind of thing that you see scrawled with a magic marker on the toilet of the cubicle of a student's toilet. Be alert. We need more alerts. You know, along with above the toilet roll dispenser, it will say something like, social sciences degree, please take one. Oh, there was this thing about the arts today. It's a bit depressing. Well, everything is. Name me any story that's in the news at the moment that's not depressing. Apart from ones that concern Wills and what's it? Oh, they're so lovely. I tweeted something. Hang on a minute. I'm all caught up. My wires underneath my chair. The difference in the way that they treat Wills and What's It and Hazard and Sparkles is just comical. I mean, you can tell what they're going to write before you even read the headline. And I think that Wills and What's It were leaving the country, flying on a jet plane. We don't know where. And the press was, this stunning couple are keeping calm and carrying on, while the Queen is having a health issue. Good for them. They're doing it for Britain. Hurrah for Wills and What's It. If it had been Meghan and Sparkles, Hazard and Sparkles, then it would have been, this heartless couple are leaving this country in the Queen's hour of great need. How could they do this? No! It's just so ridiculous the difference in the way they treat those two. Oh, look at What's It. What do they use to describe somebody in the public eye wearing the same thing twice? Recycling, that's right. Yeah, she's got a £3,000 coat that she's worn more than once. She's recycling. Eco-friendly. Zach says, I paid 550 Hong Kong dollars for a single Jack Daniels and Coke in a bar in Hong Kong when I was 18. What? What? Of course, I've got no idea how much that is. So read on, he'll tell us. And that was in 1998, apparently. 550 Hong Kong dollars for a single Jack Daniels and Coke at a bar when I was 18. It says that's roughly £51. I kid you not. Be aware. Well, what was the entertainment in that bar, Zach? Was it, did it involve poles by any chance? Not the people. Roger says, hey Nick, I used to work in Norway lots. It got embarrassing getting a beer. Not even a pint might be 8 or 9 quid for perhaps 0.6 of a litre. Couldn't afford more than 3 on my expenses. Lucky for me, today in West Berkshire, it's about £4.20 for a pint. Yeah, some of those Nordic places are a bit nuts with the booze, aren't they? It doesn't stop them drinking. Booze. But they seem to spend a large amount of their earnings on, getting happy. HAPPY. does seem to cost quite a lot over there, yeah. I don't know why, they've just got a thing about it. But, most countries on earth do have a thing about one drug or another, at least one drug or another. Prissy Patel's going to revivify the war on drugs, because that'll work. Oh, yeah, great work, Prissy. Good idea. She's going to beat up middle-class drug takers. And it occurs to me that a good place to start might be the House of Commons. I think if you get one of those drug dogs and maybe a team with the swab tests, just go swab every horizontal surface in the House of Commons and see what you come up with. And, of course, just spring the surprise on them. Maybe after Prime Minister's questions, every single person in that chamber gets a drug test on the way out. See if they've taken anything, suspicious lately.
Want to score some pot?
I wonder what would happen. I think that they should do that. Set a good example. They should broadcast it live. And we can name and shame the culprits. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Hands up, who's with me? Nobody in the House of Commons. Huh. Big surprise. Huge. Not really. 0345 6060 973. Oh, great news about going away. Have you heard? Heard the good news about testing? Well, it's good news and bad news. I'll give you the good news and bad news in just a moment. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. By the way, this show and the Friday show gets put out as a podcast. Now, in order for you to use less electricity, we take the news and the ads out, so it takes less time to listen. And you won't have to sell your car to pay your fuel bill. You're welcome. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. Nick Abbott, the whole show.
Come on, we're running late!
This anonymous text says, 1,446 firms went bust in September, up from 926 in September of last year, which is not really got anything to do with what we were talking about, but does also benefit from being correct. I wasn't going to mention this, but oh well, you've started, so I'll finish. UK businesses which declared bankruptcy in September hit the highest number since March 2020. This is the government's own figures, which of course the government will say they don't recognise. Data from the Insolvency Service shows 1,446 firms went insolvent in England and Wales last month. In unrelated news, last month it emerged that Brexit-related trade barriers have risen to £2.2 billion in UK business costs in the first half of this year. Brexit in the first half of this year cost British businesses £2.2 billion. In addition to that, £600 million in costs hit British importers since January. This is according to HMRC's own data. And the cause has been identified as Brexit because the taxes were not required for EU imports when Britain was in the single market. Still, it's only money. So that's £600 million in costs, added to £2.2 billion in UK business costs. The £600 million was the cost of importing stuff from the EU. That's extra. And add that to the £2.2 billion that it's cost UK businesses in the first half of this year. And that's practically £3 billion. Still, it's only money. Who cares, right? Meanwhile, UK fisheries are facing £300 million in losses, according to a report by the National Federation of Fishermen's Organisations. Hey, but what does the National Federation of Fishermen's Organisations know about fishing? You know, compared to Bodger, for instance.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
According to the Brexit balance sheet report, Britain's fishing fleets will experience losses of £64 million every year. By 2026, they'll have lost $300 million. Hey, fisher persons, do you get the feeling that you've been had? And, of course, we've made some deals. Yes, of course we have. A series of deals with several countries have been made, matching terms which were in place when Britain was in the EU. And new deals have also been signed. New Zealand they haven't actually completed it yet, but it's another one of these I'm gunners. Apparently, a survey found that Brits feel the government has not been transparent about what those agreements involve. Well, I'll tell you, they involve unicorns and rainbows and sugar and spice and all things nice. And everything else is just the European Union being mean to us. No! Thanks a lot, EU. Why can't you just give us what we want? We're British, damn it. Okay, here's the good news about leaving the country. I don't know why people want to leave this beautiful country. You know, what with the rain lashing down and the freezing cold winds. It's going to be dark at 4:30, but, you know, apart from that, why do you want to go? What's so great about being warm? Passengers are venting their fury after being held up in huge delays at Heathrow's immigration control as they complained of hours-long queues.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Britain's busiest airport said that delays were being caused by health checks, despite the same measures being in place for months. They're just looking around for an excuse and they say, health checks. One passenger posted a photo showing half of the electronic passport barriers not working.
Oh, fabulous.
Again? I mean, does anything actually work in this country now? How about the contact tasting that we spent £43 billion on?
Contact tasting, tracing. Forgive me. Contact tracing.
Well, I assume the answer is no. That still doesn't work either. An onlooker queuing for hours at the gates at Heathrow said tempers were flaring this week as passengers joked about a lack of social distancing as they were all crammed into queues. You know, because catching a deadly disease is funny. Well, you got to laugh, ain't you? I mean, it's not like there's a pandemic going on. A Heathrow spokesmodel said, Border Force is currently experiencing some delays as they conduct health measure checks to ensure passenger compliance with the UK government's latest entry requirements. You will be compliant. The immigration hall is, of course, run by Border Force. And Border Force has been plagued by wait times and issues with the e-gates and a lack of staff and changes to rotas and etc. and so on. And you know which minister is responsible for Border Force? Shall I tell you a story? Are you sitting comfortably? Or as Priti Patel would say, stand up straight. I mean, if these people at Heathrow had arrived in a dinghy, she would have given them her full attention. Meanwhile, a requirement for double vaccinated travellers to take pricey PCR tests on their return to the UK has been dropped from now. Great news, people. You will no longer have to take those pricey PCR tests. You will, of course, still have to take a test. The government, in its wisdom, has introduced new traveller COVID tests, and, as you would expect, it's all gone very well. Honestly, can you think of anything that has actually gone well that this government has been responsible for? I'll make this really easy for you. Anything, any one thing, anything. I mean, apart from redistributing public cash into private hands. For people that have government ministers on speed dial or who are on their Christmas card list. You know, apart from that, apart from the redistribution of wealth, the trickle-up economics, what else have they been responsible for that has actually gone well? that has arrived on time and on budget and functioned? Can you think of anything at all? I'll make this really, really easy. Just one. That's all. One thing. Anything? So there's this requirement for double vaccinated travellers to take these PCR tests. That's out. Thank goodness. We have new traveller COVID tests. The launch of a new COVID traveller test portal worked perfectly at the very moment that it went live. I'm kidding. It fell flat on its face like a drunk.
Booze.
The launch of a new traveller COVID test portal descended into farce this week as listed companies displayed no stock and advertised misleading prices. But that was when it worked. Then the website crashed completely.
Oh, fabulous.
I mean, serious question. I'll take answers on a postcard if necessary. Is there anything that this government is responsible for that is actually running well? Any suggestions? I'll take that as a no. The Department of Health launched a list of companies ahead of rule changes to allow double-jabbed holidaymakers to take a rapid lateral flow test by day 2 of their return, rather than that far pricier PCR swab. And so they produced a list of firms, favoured firms. No doubt were spirited to the front of the queue on the VIP list. Unfortunately, the list of firms contained several which did not actually offer those swab tests. God, you couldn't make it up, could you? And many were out of stock within hours or were advertising prices which failed to include other hidden costs. Anyone want to bet on how many of those firms have a government minister on their Christmas card list? Bet nah. By yesterday afternoon, the government webpage displayed the message, "This site is currently offline due to high demand." It's so successful, it doesn't work. Which makes as much sense as anything else I've heard this year. A Department of Health spokesperson said... I'm kidding, they actually said, "The UK Health Security Agency has put in place extensive checks to ensure pricing is fair and affordable for travellers." Which sounds very much like, don't question us, peasant. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I'll be back tonight at 10. In the meantime, Ian Payne will be here from 4 o'clock, but right now it's Richard Spur. 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 But right now it's Richard Spur.